Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Hailey, happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday, Dan.
You're listening to the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show, sponsored by Benjamin Moore. Unless you're Hailey, then you're making the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show, sponsored by Benjamin Moore, right?
What is that?
Well, if you're at home, you're listening.
Okay,
If
yes.
you're Hailey, you're creating.
Okay.
Because I'm talking to multiple people here,
see.
Hailey.
Yeah.
Try to keep up. This is a
Talking to
quality
me
broadcast.
And everyone.
Right. Now, if you're somebody named Hailey, but not the Hailey here, you're doing just the one. You know, it doesn't
You're
matter.
not making it.
We've got so many quality things lined up. That intro is not one of them. That's just what you get. That's like a bag full of goodies that you reach in and you don't know what you're going to get out.
It's like the dentist's office when you'd get like a
Yes.
prize afterwards. And they'd have that bin, and then they pick the thing that you don't want.
That was the intro. The bin at the dentist office was my intro. Now let's get to the good stuff, which is actually having the dentist work on your teeth.
What?
That's the part of the show that we want to get to now. We have got a lot of interesting things. I think it's going to be really fun. We've got some conversations that you and I are going to have,
Yes.
conversation.
Could get
about-
heated.
It could be. It could. I'm an adult. I think I can handle it. But decorating with plywood, it's a newer thing.
Yeah, it's become
last
a
few
trend
years.
in the past few years, and we're just going to talk about that.
Yeah, we'll see once what we think about it. And if you're considering it, it's definitely something to stay tuned for because we've got some things to think about.
Yeah, practical implications.
Yeah. So anyway, that's coming up. We're going to be talking about Aura Bath and Spa, but using it in an unusual manner, just like you're using the plywood in an unusual manner when you're using
Yeah, we've
it.
got a little bit of a theme.
Yeah, when you're using plywood as finished decor. That's
Yes.
unusual. But right now, Hailey's got a very common use, at least initially,
Yes.
for a product that you just tried out and you want to kind of give a big thumbs up review for.
Yeah, it's like my new favorite thing. It's the Dawn Platinum Powerwash dish spray.
Okay, now hold on. It's
a lot of
Hailey's
words.
that's not what I'm focused on.
Okay.
Hailey's new favorite thing in an entire world
Okay.
of amazing things is some kind
You
of
had to, yeah.
dish detergent. Hailey's life is just gut rot boring, right?
Okay,
No,
maybe
that's-
it's not my new favorite.
Oh, hyperbole.
thing.
You were being extreme.
Yes.
Probably got that from me.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
So tell us what it is one more time because it's a mouthful.
Dawn Platinum Powerwash dish spray. If you've heard the commercials, spray, wipe, and rinse, that's what I'm talking about.
All right. So I have not heard the commercials. I have no idea what this product
Spray, wipe,
is.
and rinse. It's a little jingle.
Oh,
Yeah.
I should have sang that, but you did it first. So now I can't 'cause it looks like I'm just copying. I don't know what it is. I do like cleaning I like clean dishes. You know, I
Sure.
love that.
I
love cleaning.
Hate doing dishes. And luckily, I'll be honest, I don't do the dishes in my house very often because I'm the
Jordan
cook.
does?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fair. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm the cook and
And
the
the
dishwasher.
dishwasher? Yeah,
no,
that's
the
not
kids
fair.
help. Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. This is for hand washing dishes.
Yes.
Okay, so this
Not
isn't
for a dishwasher.
all right.
This
Because
is
you
for
were
a
big on
human
that.
dishwasher.
Okay, yeah, the best kind.
Yes.
So what's its big
So,
claim to
okay,
fame?
it's different than normal dish detergent because it's in a spray bottle. So you're literally just spraying it on the dish, wiping it off with a sponge, and then rinsing it off in the sink, and you're done. And I know that sounds crazy. Like, it sounds like those ridiculous commercials that we see where they've got this, like, casserole dish, and it's, like, got all this baked on grease and grime, and then they, use the sponge on it, and it just
yeah.
magically wipes everything away.
Oh yeah, it's the dream.
Yeah,
the
it's
clean person's
ridiculous,
dream.
right? But I honestly have experienced that level of ridiculousness with the Power Wash spray.
It's worked that well.
It's worked
on
that
what kind of thing?
well.
Because I always assume that what they're showing me on the videos is something that has not been
Right, it
handled
just,
by
like,
the Hansen children.
Looks like it's baked on, but it's not actually. They
Right.
just like,
It's the real deal?
yeah. I mean, like, we use frying pans for a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not always the best cook. That's on me because I burn some stuff to the pans.
I am always the best cook.
I mean, the food tastes great, but the pan is ugly afterwards.
Oh, yeah, my
You know?
pans are ugly.
Yeah.
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 Food's pretty good. I'm not
Exactly.
going to say great.
But I feel like if we were like pros, the
Yep.
pan would probably be like spotless
All right.
afterwards too.
So yours aren't spotless.
Right.
But with this, you spray the pan.
I spray the pan. I'll let it sit for like a minute.
Yep.
and then I'm wiping it off with a sponge and it comes off.
Seriously?
Yes,
Okay,
without
so-
like serious scrubbing, like all of that it's done.
All right. So now this kind of makes me very curious. So you're not filling up a sink full of water and then putting soap in there
No.
and then throwing your dishes in there and then having
No.
all the floaties.
No.
That's not what's happening.
No.
You just have a place to rinse them.
Yes.
And hopefully there's no floaties if you're doing a nice job,
Yeah.
because that would
It's gross.
be washed. I'm not saying it's not gross. I'm saying it's a reality. Floaties are a reality. So there is none of that. You just spray the stuff on the dish. To me, it feels like it's going to be gone instantly.
It
Does it
goes pretty
last?
far. It's really concentrated.
Okay.
And the spray, whatever it's doing, it's one of those continuous spray bottles, but it's creating a really fine mist. And because it's creating that mist, whatever it's happening inside that bottle, it's like pre-sudsing the soap for you. So what you would normally be doing with the sponge, it's doing for you already. Like that's why it's cutting the time in half.
Okay, so I spray it on,
Yeah.
greasy, messy, baked on, caked on,
Yes.
whatever you want to call it. Let it sit for a minute or so. Not very long.
No, not
I'm not
very
real
long.
patient. I don't like to let things soak because I get really sick of it. So then I just scrub them as best I can and then put them away with what I got.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
So I'm not having to let it sit forever. I can just get on it, rinse it, and you're getting really good results.
Yeah.
Is this crazy expensive compared to the other things?
I think it's maybe like slightly more expensive. And I will say it doesn't go quite as far as like the normal dish soap does.
Okay.
But honestly, for what I'm getting out of it, it's worth it.
Okay. All right. Now, okay, wait a minute now. You had claimed in the beginning you're not doing any dishwashing. It's somebody else who does that.
I
in
mean,
your house.
occasionally I'll help out.
But do you have a good standard to judge it against? Do you know what good dishwashing feels like? Have you done enough?
I know
What
what
does Jen
bad
think about
dishwashing
this?
feels like.
So it's good stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
Like
Now-
I actually almost enjoy it a little bit more than when I used to do it.
Well, that's really important. What is the name one more time?
Dawn Platinum Powerwash Dish Spray.
Okay, we'll put links in the show notes. That's all the time we've got on this segment. We're going to
Yeah.
move into a segment where we talk about Aura Bath and Spa. That's coming up next. We are going to keep recording, though. So if you want to check this out on YouTube or the podcast, you can catch the full discussion because you've got more stuff.
There's more stuff about this.
A lot more interesting stuff. That's in the podcast. We're going to take a break now. We'll be back talking about Aura Bath and Spa in just a minute. Stay tuned. All right, Hailey, we've let people go to a break.
Yeah.
Now we're going to just have a free conversation.
So we talked about the normal use for the Dawn Platinum Powerwash dish
Yes.
spray.
We're not live anymore, so you can say it however many times you need to. No worries. Dish spray.
Yeah.
It's really a sad thing when I can speak clearly on something and you struggle. That's pretty funny.
That's what happens, though. It's like words get stuck in your head and then
Yeah.
you just can't say them anymore.
I know. I just know too many words, so I struggle. It's probably your thing too, I would think, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, this this dish spray.
Yeah.
Tell me about these other uses, because you told me before we started recording that segment that you had found a number of kind of interesting, really interesting uses for it
Yeah.
outside of the norms.
Right, exactly.
So let's go into some of those.
I'm curious to try these. I have not, disclaimer, I haven't, we haven't tested this.
All right.
So I don't know how accurate all of the information is going to be. However, there are a bunch of articles online.
And it's online.
So-
that's take it to the bank. That's the internet, man.
And
That's
even
good.
in like the reviews of the product on Dawn's website, people are listing these other things that they've started using this power wash spray for because it works that well.
All right.
So one of them in the kitchen still, using it on the oven. So
Okay, the
basically just
stovetop
like
kind of a thing?
Yes, exactly. Like
In the
your-
oven?
well, I don't know about that. I would say
Stovetop is what you're
stovetop.
talking about.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. So you're spraying it on like you would with a cleaner, basically, using the sponge, wiping it off, and it's cutting
It's a normal
through
sponge. I should have
grease
asked
and-
that in the normal segment.
Yes, a normal
This isn't some
sponge.
super industrial sponge, right?
Not using like a wire brush.
All right. Normal sponge, stovetop.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical on that. I mean, I'm not skeptical in the sense that I'm sure it works.
I mean, it makes sense that it would work. It's
I would
working
think
on
so.
the baked on stuff that's
I can't
in the
imagine
pan.
that it's going to touch what I've got going. Well,
you're unique, so.
Is that a compliment? I don't know that is. It's just backhanded. All right, but I think it would work. I can see that. What else?
Yeah. People have started using it in the bathroom as well. So cleaning like the tub.
Like all the soap scum?
Exactly.
My arch nemesis?
Yes, your nemesis.
Yeah.
Apparently it works really well on that.
No. Does it make the tub slippery? I don't want to fall.
I mean, you want to rinse it after you soap it up.
That's true. Yeah.
That's an important step.
I ask questions before I think it through.
Yes.
If I had just paused for a second, that would have made sense. All right.
People are also using it on like clothing and furniture and carpet to remove stains, though, which I think is pretty interesting. I don't know if
I'm having a reaction to the carpet.
Yeah.
If you don't get detergent entirely out of the carpet like that, it just collects dirt. It looks clean for a little bit, and then it will just get dirtier much faster. You have to be very careful about that.
Yeah. That's a good point.
And I would assume that would be the same with clothing and anything. Anything that leaves detergent in it is going to be, just a magnet for dirt.
Okay, well, so maybe don't try that one. But another one that I thought was interesting was using it on outdoor furniture.
Okay.
People are saying that it cuts through like the mildew and all the gross, buildup that outdoor furniture can get. Cuts right through it.
All right.
So you're just spraying it onto the furniture and then hosing it off, and it's brilliant.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Any other ones? You're kind of wrapping up.
I'm kind of wrapping it up.
You said something about appliances when we were recording. Oh, I was thinking like electronics and stuff.
Okay.
When I
talk
about
on your computer,
I like to think of fun things.
Mm-hmm.
The oven's not terribly fun.
No.
All right.
Oh, wait. One weird one. I really don't understand this quite yet. I've got to dig into it. But someone used it on like a house plant to get rid of spider mites. Spider mites? Yeah. I've never dealt with spider mites.
I don't even know what they are. Do I have some? What's
possible.
The test?
Do you have indoor plants,
I have a lot
Dan?
of itches. It's nothing to do with that.
Do you have indoor plants?
Live ones. I think so. I've got one that just keeps trying to die.
Okay.
I let it get really close, and then I bring it back from the edge.
Well, maybe this will help you bring it back from the edge again.
All right. So the itching is probably something else.
That's unrelated.
Okay. Good to know. Don't want to be lathered in dish detergent. That's unnecessary. See, that couldn't be on the regular show. This could be all over here.
Yeah.
It's a little more free.
Just spraying Dan down with the Dawn Powerwash to spray.
Spraying where?
Works on people, apparently.
Everything. So spider mites, possibly.
Yes, possibly.
A little iffy on carpet.
Right.
Stovetop, go for it.
Bathroom, seems like a win.
Yeah. And dishes.
Yes.
Is where it really shines.
Definitely. Oh, I like that. Mm-hmm.
All right. So I think that's it. We're going to wrap this one up. You're going to, I guess we're just going to, if you're listening to the podcast, if you're still listening, you've hung on, we're going to take a break. It's not going to be much of a break for the podcast. It's just going to bleed right into the next segment.
Right.
And we'll be talking about Aura Bath and Spa, just like we said a few minutes ago. It's coming up next. Stick around. Well, Hailey, I haven't had time yet to go out and wash dishes. I'm very excited.
No?
Yeah. Well, I'm excited
you didn't run
now.
home in the break.
No, I thought about making some dirty dishes to wash. I love washing dishes. I talked about that. No, I don't. I love clean dishes.
Yeah.
I'm excited to maybe have some once. It's a concept I'd love to have. Anyway, you're listening to the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show. I'm Dan Hansen.
I'm Hailey Johnson. We're kind of on a theme now. We've
From
departed from the cleaning, and now it seems like we're talking about using things for other purposes than what they were initially meant for.
Exactly. We're going to talk about using a number of different products for completely unintended purposes. Yes. And as crazy as that sounds, it's going to be really practical, and some of it is happening all over the place right now. For example, the last half of the show, we're going to be talking about using plywood
as a finish material.
In your interior design,
Yeah.
right? Plywood, just lather on a clear coat and there you go. It's beautiful, ready to go.
Done.
Kitchen cabinets, all of that. People are doing that. We're going to talk about that.
It's very polarizing.
Yeah, talk about what we think about it
Yeah.
and some things to think about if you're going to do it.
Right.
All right? That's plywood being used in an unintended manner.
Right.
Right now, let's talk about Bath and Spa from Aura. It's a Benjamin Moore product. And as the name would imply,
It's normally a bathroom paint.
exactly. And from our point of view, it's the best. It's the only bathroom paint you should ever
Yes.
even consider.
Yep, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. I've used it in my bathroom. And the beautiful thing about Aura Bath and Spa is that it's a matte finish, which is unheard of, really, as a bathroom sheen. Normally, we're looking at like a satin finish, something that's a little bit shinier because we've got to resist all that moisture.
Exactly.
So it's really strange to have a matte finish in a bathroom.
For years, we would tell people, no.
Right. That's
You just
not...
cannot. We pry the cans out of their hands. You can't put a matte
cannot do
finish
that.
in a bathroom. Now you can, and you still get all of the benefits
Right.
of a shinier paint, all the moisture resistance and more.
Better, honestly. You know, when I had a satin finish on the walls in my bathroom, I would still see, you know, like the steam run lines that gather on the walls after I've, you know, not turned the fan on and steamed up the bathroom. And now there's all these lines running down the wall. That was with a satin finish. I'm using a matte finish now with Aura Bath and Spa. Have never seen steam on the walls.
Still not turning on the bathroom fan?
It's kind of broken, to be
Okay.
honest.
Kind of broken. All right.
It works sometimes.
All right.
And sometimes it just like makes a really awful sound.
Yeah.
So I avoid it.
Yeah, no, I get that. Ours does that. I kind of like that awful sound. It tunes out any fighting that I might hear outside, and I can't hear anything. Of course, I guess it also tunes out anybody yelling, "Dad, fire, get out." All of that will be faded out too. But I do have my few moments of peace and tranquility if I can get used to the rattle of the fan. Anyway, back to Bath and Spa. There are a number of problems that happen in a bathroom. You know, all kinds of things. Surfactant leaching, just kind of a little brown, silvery.
Yeah, like an amberish,
Yeah.
or people have described silvery kind of
It
bleed through.
Right, it just comes out moisture, draws it out of paint. It's a natural thing in paint. Surfactants are.
It's basically like a soapy material.
Right, and sometimes that's drawn to the surface by moisture, excessive moisture. All of those problems that we get are solved
Right.
by going to Bath and Spa.
Exactly.
And you get the matte finish. All of that is a benefit. The matte finish. Talk about that really quickly.
yeah, why would you
'Cause you
even
love
want
that,
a
Hailey.
matte finish? I think is probably what some people are thinking. Like, well, I don't really need a matte finish. Why would I want it? It's going to be harder to clean, all of those things. I love a matte finish because I love color. And what we may not realize if we've got eggshell on the walls or satin on the walls is largely what we're looking at sometimes is the sheen.
Mm-hmm.
You're not really able to fully just be absorbed into the color on the wall like you are with a matte finish. And I honestly didn't realize this until I had painted one room matte and one room eggshell. And the difference,
Same color, though.
yeah, was really incredible. So I'm a huge fan of matte finishes now.
Right. If you're really picky about color, you're going to get your best representation of
Yep.
that color with a matte finish. That's why matte finishes are nice to work with. And they also hide imperfections.
Yes.
They are just easier to work with than a shinier paint.
It's
so
true.
all of that is wrapped up in Aura Bath and Spa, and it gives you the perfect bathroom paint.
Yes.
Now,
truly.
a couple of things. We talked about using it in an unusual manner.
Right.
So let's get to where we're going with that. And there's a couple of interesting facts that you want to grab about Bath and Spa. First off, Bath and Spa has a noticeably lower sheen than Aura Matte. So
Right.
even though they're both matte finishes, the Bath and Spa has a lower sheen yet. So it's a flatter matte finish.
Yeah, it's closer to a flat that we see in other products.
Right. So that's an important thing. The other important thing is that Bath and Spa can be used in any room. RepcoLite makes a product called Metal Clad. It's an oil-based interior, exterior paint. It's got rust-inhibitive
Sure.
characteristics. Metal clad, right?
Yeah.
Well, at one point, that was our go-to recommendation if you needed to use a semi-gloss oil outside, for wood or
anything.
whatever, right? And so many conversations we'd have to have in the store.
But it says metal.
Yes. My wood is not metal. No, I know your wood's not metal. Most wood isn't, but this will work on that. No, I need the wood clad
Right,
paint.
yes.
No, it can be used on both.
Yeah.
Bath and spa can be used outside of the bathroom, believe it or not. And in fact, we've got a growing number of contractors who are doing just that, using bath and spa
Yep, it's true.
on every interior job, all throughout the house.
Right.
And they've been
Living
doing it
room,
for years.
Kitchen, bedroom, dining room, anywhere where you would want that matte finish, they're using the Aura Bath and Spa because, like you said, it's got a little bit of a lower sheen, and it's also the most cleanable matte you're going to find.
Right. Now, we need to clarify what we mean by that. It's the lowest sheen
Yes.
that you're going to get with good washability.
Exactly.
If you're looking for that balance, I want the lowest sheen but still the most washable, Aura Bath and Spa is actually going to be that for you. Now, that doesn't mean that it washes as well as other finishes. A high gloss finish is going to always wash better than any kind of an eggshell or a matte or anything. The shinier you go, the more washability you gain. But you also gain all that shine. I mean, you see imperfections very quickly that way. It's harder to work with.
Too, if you've got heavily textured walls, all that sheen is doing is showing that off even more. And if you're not a fan of texture on the walls, you're going to want to hide it. And how you do that is with a lower sheen.
Right. So with Aura Bath and Spa, with other low sheen finishes, but Aura Bath and Spa is the flattest that I've got that's still going to give you good washability. You're going to hide imperfections. So imagine you've got maybe a long hallway, or a long room with windows at one end, and maybe the drywall isn't
not
done perfectly, right? Or maybe there's nail pops or something like that, or nails that you've patched and all of that, nail holes that you've patched. All of those things will show up with shinier paints.
Yep.
Even a matte finish can have a little bit of a sheen to it, and you can see those areas. Or a Bath and Spa matte finish is less sheen, so all of that's going to be hidden. That's why people are starting to use this in more places than just the bathroom. So we already said to think about it this way, that it's the lowest possible sheen with the highest washability.
Yep. Keep
that in your mind. Or a Bath and Spa, that's what you get. Now, we have to have a science section. Now, I know it's really early. It's really early on a Saturday morning for a science section, but Aura Bath and Spa also has extra antimicrobial additives that regular Aura doesn't have, because it's made to go in a bathroom.
Exactly.
So right off the bat, you've got that going for you as well, but it also has nepheline cyanide. All right? As a filler. And I butchered that.
I'm proud of you for saying that, Dan.
Nepheline cyanide as a filler. I'm not going to go into all kinds of technical stuff, but the bottom line is this. Nepheline cyanide is an extremely high-quality filler. Paints all use these kinds of things. Aura Bath and Spa is using this particular one, which is extremely high quality.
Right.
And it gives Bath and Spa a lot of premium characteristics. Basically, you're going to get great stain resistance, excellent washability, and resistance to burnishing.
Which is like when you clean the wall or rub the wall, you could end up with a shiny spot in lower finishes sometimes, like other matte finishes or a flat finish. You get burnishing. It's just knocking down the solids to the point where you're revealing more resin, and now you've got a shiny spot.
Yeah. So you don't like that? Nobody wants burnishing?
Nope.
Aura Bath and Spa resists all of that because of this high-quality additive that's in there. On top of all of that, it's Aura. And we've talked about Aura plenty of times on the show. Benjamin Moore's Aura gives you extreme hide and coverage.
Yeah, it is their premium product. So you're going to get the best durability, the best hide, the best color retention. Everything that Aura has, you're going to get in Aura Bath and Spa.
Yeah, so the label says Bath and Spa, but that doesn't mean it's just for your bathrooms or your spas or whatever you've got going. It's great for all kinds of situations like we talked about. So to wrap up, who's it for? Who is Aura Bath and Spa for? Well, first off, primarily, if you're painting a bathroom, there's no other paint really to consider. I think this is going to solve... It's
just so worth it. For a small space to invest in a higher quality product that's going to solve problems before they even start is a really nice guarantee.
Yeah. So bathroom painting or a Bath and Spa, that's for you. If you're looking for a finish that applies and covers really nice, that hides imperfections and still cleans up fairly well, or a Bath and Spa would be for you. If you're a painting contractor who's using a competitive flat paint because Aura Matte was just too shiny for you, because we mentioned Aura Matte's a little bit shinier. If you've stayed away from Benjamin Moore products for that reason, here's a matte finish that's probably going to outperform what you're already using. So check it out. All right. Anything else on that, Hailey, or did we wrap that up nicely?
I think it's tied with a bow.
All right, we're going to take a break. Our Grand Rapids listeners are going to get news and all of that at the bottom of the hour. The Detroit listeners are going to get a RepcoLite Rewind, which is always exciting. That's coming up. And then right after that, we'll be back in the studio talking about plywood as an interior design choice.
It'll be a fun conversation.
It's going to be great, and it's next. Stay tuned. And we're back, and if you're wondering what's cool, what to put in your house so that you're on trend and so that you're on trend in years to come as well, right? I mean, predicting the future, if that's what you're looking for, interior design-wise, you've come to the right place. This is the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show, and we've got all the answers, not just some, not just a few, not just a handful of good ones. We've got all the answers, right, Hailey?
Yeah, I'm going to say all of that was in jest.
Okay. We have some answers, though, right?
We have some ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to talk about something that Hailey brought up to me, and it really just kind of boggled my mind.
Yeah. It blew your mind a little. And then
did.
you got a little angry.
Well, I did. And hopefully, I'm going to channel that anger into some positive action moving forward to help everybody out there. But tell us what design trend, an interior design trend that's been big for a while.
Yeah, it's been big for a little while now. And it's like, I think, very tied to Scandinavian design and minimalist design. Plywood.
Right.
Untouched, sealed, but raw plywood walls, cabinets, fixtures, furniture, floors, the whole deal, plywood.
All right. So all of that was said way too quickly for it to really get into people's heads so they can picture this. So gather around the radio.
Yeah.
Grab your loved ones, your friends, and then just picture this. Plywood on the kitchen cabinets. The kitchen cabinets are made of plywood.
Made of plywood.
They're not painted plywood.
No.
They're just natural plywood.
Natural
with that
plywood.
natural graining. There you go. And surrounding those cabinets, the walls on which those cabinets hang,
Plywood.
Plywood. Same color.
Ceiling.
Plywood. So good luck trying to find the chips or whatever. You don't even know where your cabinets
It's all
are. 'cause it
camouflaged.
all blends together. The floors can be plywood.
Yeah.
Right? We've seen spaces like that. I've
Right.
seen
I think,
spaces with the
there's
steps.
like the extreme plywood look, which is like the entire house and the inside is plywood. And then there are also people that have taken just the element of plywood and applied it in accents. I've got a friend that's building a house and she's really into Scandinavian design. She's always been that way. And the way that she's decided to kind of bring that design element into the house is with plywood. And so she's making a giant accent wall out of plywood. The stairs leading to the basement and upstairs are made out of plywood. The cabinets, I think, are white, but the backsplash and the wall behind them, plywood. So she's bringing in certain elements that it's not everywhere. It's not every single surface, but it's definitely leaning into that trend.
Okay. So is this something that you have seen a lot of before your friend brought it up to your attention?
I've seen it, because I look at Instagram and Pinterest and all of that.
Okay, so talk about that. You're seeing it all over the place, a fair amount of it.
Yeah.
What is the general consensus out there when it comes to how people are using it? Are they using it as accents in a small scale, or are they using it in the more extreme picture that I painted earlier?
I think the extreme pictures that you've painted, I would say that that's usually it sounds backwards, but like extremely high-end builds where like this is a very specific architectural statement. Someone is really trying to push in a certain direction, an architect is, and you're coming up with a home that's all plywood at that point. I think that in like normal people's homes, we're seeing this as accents.
So rich people, they're not normal.
Your everyday person.
Okay.
Like this isn't the
they're
top
not the
1%.
common people, the hoi polloi, the rest of us.
Right.
But they're still normal.
Yeah, they're normal.
Right.
To some extent.
They pass some
As
kind of
normal as they can
psychological
be.
exam or something like that. But they just got more money than the rest of us.
Yeah.
So those are the designs where you see it really pushed. And I think it's important what you're talking about. You're saying that it's an intentional push they're
Exactly.
and what
Like
we mean
from
by-
the ground up, it's been built around the idea that plywood is the material.
Right. That's what we mean by intentional. We know if you put plywood up, it's intentional. You meant to do it. It's a different kind of intentional. And we talked about that. We ran into that almost a year ago, or closing in on a year ago, with Frank Gehry, the architect. And he's really polarizing.
Yeah.
Is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
A lot of people love what Frank Gehry does, and a lot of people hate what Frank Gehry does, and there's not a lot of ground in between.
Right.
It's very tough to be in the middle on that. I mean, his
That's
designs
true.
really push you in one direction
Yeah.
or another. And one of the things early on in his career, he decided to take some of these undesirable, let's say,
Yeah.
elements, materials.
Like chain link fence, corrugated metal, things that we
Yeah.
try to not highlight.
Right, and he made that as key
The feature,
statements in
yeah.
a number of his pieces, including his own home.
Right.
So that was intentional. He's doing it with the idea of using a material that kind of pushes boundaries.
Right. Like he's recontextualizing it. He's seeing it and trying to maybe see the potential beauty in this material rather than how we normally look at it.
Right.
Like it could just be a fence, or I could see this pattern and I could really, fall in love with the weaving of the metal.
Yeah, it never happened for me. I tried to like the chain link.
I don't think it's going to happen for most people.
No, it's pretty tough. It's a tough sell. But let's get back to the plywood. That's what you're saying.
Right.
When we see an entire space enveloped in plywood, it's usually one of those situations.
Right.
Somebody's really
An
pushing.
architect is really trying to push in a direction.
The regular people, the rest of us, are
Yeah.
using it more in the terms of accents.
Yeah.
And we're seeing whole walls. And I guess let's dig into that a little bit, because I want to make sure that everybody's got the idea and is picturing it. Because for me, when you pitched this and talked about this concept, I had a different picture in mind. I did not think about the fact that literally on a wall, a lot of these installs, even the common ones, even the ones that we would say are just using it as an accent,
Right.
they're throwing up 4x8 sheets of plywood and they're not filling any seams.
Right.
Not a lot of that going on at all.
They're not trying to make it look like it's seamless. I mean,
Right. And
it's
it
very
just-
obvious what it is.
Right. And man, that one is tough for me. So,
And I think it's, when we say that, I imagine that people are just asking the question, why? Why are they doing this?
Right. Why are they doing it, Hailey?
I don't exactly, I don't have a definitive answer. I feel like the why is, one, it brings a lot of warmth into the space, right? It's like doing paneling in the 70s. Like you're just embracing a natural material and going nuts with it.
Right. Now, gray has been a big thing,
Yeah.
the color gray.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say that's out, because the last time we did that on air, we got a lot of emails. So if you're already getting ready to fire off a missive, just let it go.
Yeah.
It can be still in. If you love it, that's all that matters. But I think there is a little bit of a reaction.
Yeah, I think there's a pushback about gray at this point. I think some people are done with it. They're so sick of it that they're going as far in another direction as they possibly can. And that's with something that has so much warmth, so much texture, so much pattern, that there's just a lot of life in comparison.
Right. So we've got that going on. I think that's a big part of it. I know sustainability, that's another word that's been used. It's
DIY friendly.
It's DIY, all of those things. Another thing that I read, and I brought it up to you, it was a little bit annoying. It was one of those blog posts where they talked about how drywall is just so sterile and boring that, it's been a big trend to bring in this color, this texture, all of that that you're talking about, something that's not lifeless like drywall.
Right.
Well, good grief. If you're painting your drywall a sterile, boring color, it's going to be boring. But color can do a fair amount.
You can paint a mural on the wall. It's no longer lifeless and boring.
Right. So that I thought was a little ridiculous. But I think basically that's probably the why. Easy to work with, all of those things. It's unusual.
Yeah, I think that is a big part of it, especially for, like we talked about, the really high-end homes that are using this everywhere. I think in that case, this is an architect's, I'm going to be different. I'm making a statement with this material. and I'm going to use it in a way that no one else has used it before.
But in your instance, your experience right now, you're talking to somebody who's using it
in a limited way.
Yeah. And still, she had some issues trying to push this through with her builder, her designers.
Yeah.
They thought she was nuts.
Right. Yeah. Because this isn't something that we're seeing, especially in the Midwest, right? Like, I think these really big boundary pushing design trends, we tend to see more on the coast, the West Coast for sure. And she's doing it in West Michigan.
Right.
So people haven't necessarily seen it before. And the builder is just thinking, this is a material that I hide. This is not a material that I show off.
Right. And that is the strange part of all of this.
Yeah.
Is a lot of the designs that I see online, I'm looking at pictures, and even the ones that are well done, to me, I'm still looking at this as material that should be hidden. The graining is not beautiful to me at all. And I guess I'm tipping my hand. I want to take
how do you feel about this, Dan?
take a break right now. We've kind of established
what this is.
What it is as a design trend.
Yeah.
And we want to dig into it on the other side of the break. So we're going to take a break right now. Hang with us, and we'll be back in just a minute to kind of give you our take on what we think about it all. That's all just ahead. Stay tuned. Well, Hailey, we're talking about plywood as a design trend.
Yes.
An interior design choice that you're throwing on your walls and not covering over with anything except maybe a clear coat.
Exactly.
So you can see the beauty
of plywood.
The plywood. This is the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show. I'm Dan Hansen.
I'm Hailey Johnson. And we've been talking about this as something that's a little out there, but I've seen someone in our area recently do it, so I thought, why not talk about it?
Right. So now we've talked about it as, where it's being used, kitchen cabinets, walls, stairways, you name it, everywhere, ceilings, floors, entire rooms engulfed in plywood.
Yes.
And as we mentioned, it's a design trend. It's something people are thinking about and have been doing for a while now.
Yeah.
What do we think about it? Well, I guess my first thing, I've already tipped my hand.
You have.
I'm not a big fan. I don't like it.
No.
Hardly at all. It reminds me, every room that I see reminds me of a room that's like an old shed.
It's like a shanty.
Right. If I want to live in a shanty, if that's my dream, I don't want to have an indoor toilet. I feel like I've nailed it with this aesthetic. It feels just like I live somewhere else, far, far away from, the world with all of its convenience.
You have like a really hard time not just seeing it as plywood. Like you're not looking past the material at all.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. Because so many of the spaces, like for instance, there was one where I could almost buy it.
Yeah.
It was the picture showed it on the wall in a bedroom, except there's one great big 4x8 sheet that's a completely different graining than all the rest of them.
It's a little distracting.
And then all I can see from that point on are all these big 4x8 sheets and all of that. So with that said, I don't like the aesthetic.
Yeah.
But there's a bigger reason that I hate this. But first, before I get to why I hate it.
Bigger reason.
Well, there is. And it's practical. I'm going to just get straight to it.
Yeah.
How do you fix this when you're sick of it? When you're sick of it? How do you fix this? Because I can't imagine there's not going to be a day where I'm not sick of this.
I don't know. I can see the potential in the material. Like, I honestly, this is not at all. I would not do this in my own home. I live in a Craftsman, and that's my butter zone. Like, give me anything in that time period, and I'm in love.
Sure.
But I can still see why people might choose to do this. And I do appreciate the aesthetic in some instances. I think that it can be done wrong in a big way really easily.
Right.
And that's probably what could happen quite often with people that are seeing this design trend online and then applying it to their homes as they sit now.
I guess that's the politically correct way of saying what I was saying. At least that's what I was trying to say.
Because it does provide like a lot of warmth. Well, I can kind of see the grain is pretty in some situations.
Completely agree with you.
The color's nice.
All of that is nice. I love all the wood God created. It's great. It's all nice. I just know that can't think of a color that I've painted on a wall.
Sure.
That 10 years later, I've been thinking, man, that beige is still rocking it. You know?
It's like the argument for wallpaper. It's like
The argument against
wallpaper. Yeah. Is that at some point I'm going to get sick of this pattern.
And then how do I fix it? That's what I guess I'm getting at. Because the the plywood, it's not something, yes, you can paint over it. All of that's possible.
Yeah.
But a lot of these installs, in fact, most of them, you can see the seams.
Yes.
And painting over that, you're going to still see the seams. Filling that is problematic.
And you can still, unless, I guess some of it depends on what grade plywood you're getting. Plywoods can look very different from each other.
Absolutely.
But in some lower end plywood, you're going to see the graining no matter what you do.
Right. So those are things to be, keep in mind. And I guess that would be where I'd want to go with this last half. We talked about it as a trend, something that's out there. It's not a trend that, is a big one for me because I can't imagine trying to deal with it if I decide I don't like it.
would not do this in your home, Dan.
No,
that would not work.
Well, no, my home's not built for it either.
Exactly.
It'd be like putting a square peg in a round hole.
Yes.
Wouldn't work. But maybe there are people who are thrilled with it. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we've made a huge case on, this show, as long as the show's been on the air, 6 years of this, something I'll live and die by is not really. I'm not going to die by this. Yeah. It's just a fancy way of saying that it's important to me. Yeah. It's everybody should do what they want to do when it comes to their own home. You can
absolutely.
get a designer's opinion, and that's really good, and that can really push you outside of your boundaries. But if you don't like where they're pushing you, I've talked to way too many people who have done something that a designer has told them will be great, and they've hated it. They knew they were going to hate it. They hated it. And it's just wasted money, and you should love your home.
Right.
If you love colors that are way out of style, but you love them,
then that's what you love.
Who cares what style is? So if this is your bag, you love the plywood look, and I can certainly see that I like the concept.
Sure.
And if that's you, by all means, jump into it. You want to be aware of a few things.
Yeah.
And that would be, what am I going to do? Do you anticipate wanting to change this down the road? It's not going to be as easy as swapping out a paint color.
Right. And I guess, that would be an argument to maybe starting small with plywood.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, by all means.
Yeah. Make it, an accent wall or
in somebody else's home. Get a good look at it that way. So if you have a friend who's on the fence and you're on the fence, push them over. Get them to jump in. Then you can see what you think.
It's terrible.
But yeah, start small. Another thing that I think, because there's other ways to do it. You don't have to just throw the 4x8 sheets on the wall. Because you've talked about, Hailey, with the sheets being cut in little pieces or strips of some sort.
Yep.
That's something that I can see working with. If you're really pushing against gray, if really when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I guess assess why this is important to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start with that. And if you are just pushing against gray, there are paint colors that can really help you accomplish
Wallpapers.
That. If it's texture that you're after, wallpaper is a great way to go. Because really, I still think as no fun as wallpaper can be to strip, at least in our minds, it's not nearly as bad as it used to be. But nobody still gets excited.
No one's excited to do that, yeah.
Right. It's still going to be easier, I think, than trying to cover the plywood over down the road. So wallpaper would be a way to go to bring in some texture, some color, all kinds of visual interest, and all of that.
It's not an easy material to fix if it gets damaged, is what I would say.
All right.
As a practical thing. If I'm hanging art on this and then I'm filling over those holes later because I've moved the art, I think it's way more obvious than when you're filling a hole in drywall, right?
Oh, Hailey, you
can patch it and paint over it.
You just get those putties that blend right in, right? They don't work like that.
Yeah.
People tend to think they do, and they will. They will give you kind of the color.
Right.
But it's going to show up.
You're always going to see it.
Yeah, so that is something I didn't even think about that. I think about my basement. It's paneled. It was awesome at some point when the Brady Bunch was being filmed, right? That's when it was awesome. Yeah. It's not so awesome right now. And yes, I can paint over it, but it's always going to have that paneling look.
It's always going to be paneling.
The plywood on the walls, even in a small scale, is still going to be plywood on the walls and painted over. You're going to see that. Kitchen cabinets as plywood.
It's always going to be plywood.
Man, that's something to think about. Those are things to weigh. Whenever you look at any color trend, any design trend,
absolutely,
play that stuff out down the road. Now, to be fun, We want to know, you know what we think.
Yeah.
We want to know what you think. The whole concept, plywood in the decorating. Would you use it? Have you used it? Do you regret it? Do you love it? Email us, radio@repcolite.com, and we will take all of those, process all of that information, and maybe we'll have something really fun to relay next week.
Yes.
But most of all, we're going to be giving away 2 different gift certificates, one for the Detroit area, one for the Grand Rapids area, both of them for a free gallon of any Benjamin Moore paint. So email radio@repcolite.com. Have you used plywood in your decorating? Would you?
How do you feel about it?
Right? And we'll draw winners, and we'll announce those winners next week. One for Detroit, one for Grand Rapids, a free gallon of Benjamin Moore paint each. All right, Hailey, that's all the time we've got. We're going to have to wrap it up. If you want to catch this one again, you can find it online at RepcoLite.com. Whatever you do today, make sure paint's a part of it. The RepcoLite stores are all open and waiting to help. I'm Dan Hansen.
I'm Hailey Johnson. Thanks for listening.